Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Jace Young. I'm the founder of a company called Legacy Farmer, where inside of that company, what we've done is we've helped more than 300 family farms across the country simplify and streamline the entire financial side of their farm operation and ultimately implement the systems that help them secure the financial future of that farm operation as well. And today, what I wanted to talk to you about was one of the biggest mistakes that young farmers can really make, and something that we see consistently over and over again with the families that are coming into Legacy Farmer. One of the biggest things that is a problem inside of this industry is we have a lot of young farmers, age 20s to 30s, that are going to college, right? They're doing what everybody does. They're going to college, getting a degree, and then they're coming back to the family operation. Or maybe they don't even go to college, they just stay in the family operation. Ultimately, they come back, have a wife, kids, they're bringing a family back with them and everything like that. Now, one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest things that we see inside of the industry is these kids are moving back to the family operation based on promises from those around them. Now, what type of promises I'm talking about? Well, I'm talking about promises about taking over the farm operation one day. And these are typically made by the parents or by the grandparents or by whoever is running the farm operation. These kids are coming back and they're basing the next several decades of their life based on what somebody else said that they would do for them. Here's the hard truth of this. 99.99% of the time, that does not work out as planned. Based on what you're said and everything, nothing works out as planned. Like that, well, that's why I said 99.99% of the time. It's actually probably more than 100%. But the problem is that, man, when this stuff starts to happen, you have guys coming back and they'll be back on the operation for 10 years, for 20 years. And again, they're made all these promises and they're told that it's going to happen pretty quickly. And obviously most of the time that does not happen. And what happens is if you move back to the farm operation, you got a new wife, right? Then you start having kids, and then the questions start to come. And the questions are, hey, we were told we were getting these assets. Hey, we were told we were getting this income. Hey, we were told we were getting this opportunity to farm this ground or take over this ranch or whatever it may be. So then you're in the position where you're in your late 20s or early 30s, or maybe you're in your early 40s, and you have to go collide with your parents or with your grandparents, again, whoever's controlling the assets inside that operation, saying, hey, you promised me this. I moved my family back here. We've been here for 10 years. Nothing's happened. I look at my balance sheet. I still have zero net worth, or worse, even a negative net worth. You promised me all of these things, and I made decisions. I sacrificed my freedom to go do something else, and I brought my family back here, and I've chosen to raise my kids here, and you are not fulfilling on your obligations. And the problem is, guys, is that conversation right there, majority of the time it doesn't happen. Majority of the time, the kid that came back to the farm is going home and telling his wife, hey, just give it another year, give it another 2 years. Just wait till next year will be better. Next year will be better. I'll have the conversation over the winter or whatever that is. It never happens. And then when it does happen, typically the parents try to deflect or whatever, because deep down you're calling them out on their bullshit and they don't want to face up to it. Now, again, this is a huge problem, guys. And when I talk about this, there's a lot more seriousness to this decision than what people actually me just talking about it actually is giving it, because you are sacrificing your family. There are some wounds and some scars that are going to get opened up here because you are making these promises to your spouse at home or whatever based on what somebody else is telling you, and it's ruining your future. And then when that stuff doesn't happen, man, all of a sudden the business comes home with you and it gets really difficult. And we see this time and time again inside a Legacy Farmer with young kids going back to the operation. They're trying to figure out, how do I deal with my parents? I moved my family back here. I was promised X, Y, and Z. I haven't gotten anything. And here I am in my mid 30s or about to turn 40 or whatever. I got 2 or 3 kids at home. My wife has sacrificed her life to be here with us, and nothing's happening. And that's a real big problem. So one of the biggest mistakes is that kids move back based on what somebody else tells them. They make lifelong decisions based on what somebody else tells them, and those just aren't the facts. So how do we solve this situation? If you're in this situation right now, which a lot of you watching this video, you might be, there's no easy way around it. You have to separate yourself from the family operation. You have to go out and you have to start building your own thing. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be really difficult to do that, not only on a business level, because now you have to acquire all these business skill sets and mindsets around building your own business and starting your own thing. But the more important deal here and the more challenging thing is going to be separating yourself from the family farm emotionally, because there's this feeling of abandonment that happens. And we've had members come to Legacy Farmer where we've helped them make this transition. It is definitely not an easy one, but the biggest battle was that when they were separating themselves from the family farm operation, their parents, their grandparents, their other family members that were all involved in the family operation made them feel like shit. And they wanted them to feel that way. And it makes it really difficult because you feel like you're abandoning your family and you feel like you are being selfish and everything like that. And I'm gonna challenge you. There's this difference between acting selfish and acting out of self-interest. When you're acting selfish, you're acting in a way that is solely to the benefit of you and you only. When I'm acting out of self-interest, I am acting in the best benefit of myself so that I can best impact the people and the lives of those around me, like your family, right? So that's the big difference here, guys, that people need to understand is when I'm acting out of self-interest, I'm trying to put myself in a better position so I can better impact the lives of those around me, like the family that I love, like my wife and kids at home. Okay, so you have to understand this and you have to move on this. And it's not an easy situation to talk about. I talk about it lightly. This is very freaking difficult. But again, you have to really pay attention to what are the long-term consequences here if I do not take action today and solve this freaking problem. Will I lose my wife? Will I lose my kids? Will she pack up and leave me? You know, those are the things that a lot of family farms are facing in this country, and people are getting fed up with it, like your spouse at home. And the longer you don't take action and collide with those around you that made you these promises and figure out what the truth is and whether or not it's ever going to happen, the longer you avoid that pain, man, the tougher it's going to be going forward. The longer you avoid it, the tougher, God is going to make that lesson for you. And you do not want to face that, my friend. Like we've just had so many people, guys coming to Legacy Farmer or people we've talked to on the phone over the years, and they're sitting in there in their 40s and crying on the phone, grown men crying on the phone because they were made these promises. They packed up, they moved their family there. They've sacrificed 2 decades there. They've raised their kids there. They made that place their home based on these promises that they were supposed to get, and nothing has turned to fruition. And it can destroy a family really quickly. And so, again, when I go back to how do you solve this problem? Well, one, you got to go and have the crucial conversation with whoever's, told you they were going to give you assets. And then 2, you got to be in a position and willing to deal with the reality of that situation based on what they say. Because if they just try to kick the can down the road even further, here's a secret for you. They're never going to pick up the can. They are going to continue kicking it down the road until the day they die. And you are going to sacrifice your entire life waiting around for them to be able to actually hand you over those assets. And it's just not going to happen. And you're going to waste, there's going to be such a significant cost, not only to your life, but to those around you, like your family at home. And so what do you need to do here? Well, you need to have the courage to accept the reality that you are facing there and to go build your own thing. It's going to be really difficult in the beginning, my friend, but I promise you after a couple years, even within a year, you're going to see dramatically different results inside of your life and how it's impacting your family at home and your marriage and everything as well. When you are solely responsible now for building your own thing, and now every day that you're going to work, you're actually progressing forward versus spending the last decade going to work, not progressing at all because you're just hoping that one day you get these assets because you were made that promise. So it's not an easy thing to do. You just have to weigh the pros and cons of this, and the cons heavily outweigh any pros. Actually, there really are no pros. There's only going to be challenge here, and you just have to face it head on. You have to get, you have to buckle up, and you just have to run into this thing full steam and handle it and face this hard truth right off the bat. And it's better to do it at 40, my friend, rather than 60. Like, it really is, because I know some 60-year-olds that just now inherited assets from their parents who passed away at 85 or 90 years old. And so at 60 years old, you're handing, a couple $1 million of financial responsibility to somebody who's never had to build a business. So somebody's just been an employee for 60 or for their entire life, and they are not set up to do this. So that's what I'm telling you is when you actually leave and you go try to build your own thing, just like I had to do, I'm so grateful that I was put in that position because it taught me, I've learned so much about people and teams and management and finance and taxes and just building a business the right way. And there's this enormous amount of empowerment that comes from that, because when you get to that point in business, it doesn't matter what happens in the economy, you can solve it, right? It doesn't matter if one business fails, you've developed skill sets over that time frame from building that first business that you could easily go build the next business in a different industry, or maybe it's in the same industry or whatever. You just develop these skills and mindsets that really are going to serve you for the next several generations or for the next several decades of your life. And it's such a much better position to be in. You remove stress from you and your family because now you're in sole control of your income. You also remove stress from the family members that told you were going to inherit assets, because now they don't feel the guilt that they used to. Okay. It's a tough road to walk to get there, but I'm telling you it's worth it. So my friend, if you're watching this video and you're in that position, or you know somebody that's in that position, share this video with them so that they actually hopefully this lights a fire under their ass to go do what needs to be done, because the long-term cost of not taking action is sitting around and wasting decades based on somebody else's promises to give you something someday is the biggest waste of life and waste of time that you could really use. And there's so much more out there for you if you will just trust in yourself, face the problems head on, and go build the business that you want for your family. It will serve you so much longer into the future. So my friend, hope you enjoyed this video. We'll catch you on the next one.